was tasked with protecting her. MI6 sent the decoy and took Diana out the back of the hotel because they knew the hit was on. So the lookalike don't even look like Diana. She just had a blind wig on, and they had her looking down when she was walking to the car, so they couldn't see her face. That's how they extracted her.
Okay. I'm just over here. All right. That's what's up. So if y'all don't have any more questions, I'm gonna let Rod have the rest of his evening, and I'm gonna end this live stream. I want to say thank you, Rod. Most definitely, you have. I know I kind of took it in a different realm, but that's only because I know who my listeners are, and I wanted them to be able to ask you questions that they might not necessarily hear the answers from on other platforms that you are able to speak on, or that people bring you on. I wanted to kind of change it up a little bit and just us be us, but allow you to be you and allow them to
well, we didn't really have a topic. We was just coming over here for some real talk with Drea.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He asked me, he said, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, I really want to do a Q&A. Just, whatever they want to ask. And I'm asking some questions, and that's just what it is. So yeah. I'm thoroughly, people are saying this was amazing. They're really excited about it. I'm showing there's so much gratitude right now for even just blessing my platform and being here. I thank you for that.
Appreciate you. Make my eyes happy.
People are saying thank you so much. Thank y'all for coming on with us and engaging with us, and asking questions and building, participating, things like that. We're gonna do some more of this. But definitely I wanted Rod to come on because this is my brother, my friend, a God. I just really respect him, and so I asked him, and he's like, of course. So it was just, I don't know, I'm thankful.
Well, I'm always grateful to come in and talk to one of the sisters, especially one of the divine feminine. I ain't got to argue with. I ain't got to call you no colorful words or nothing.
Oh, this is what I got before ending this off. What is it that the men can do in our community amongst people that are us and that look like us, and as well as the goddesses? Well, the gods and the goddesses, what is it that they can do? What is it that we can do collectively to help with the movement of our people and going further?
The first thing y'all have to do is understand this shit is over with. Second thing that follows that is stop supporting the dead system. You sending your children to this fake education system, but this is where they stealing our babies from. They catching them on the way to and from school, and all of them don't hit the news. Most of them don't hit the news. If they don't got blonde hair and blue eyes, it's almost impossible for them to hit the news. But they taking our children going to and from school. They miseducating them in school on purpose. The curriculum is designed to dumb them down. So what we need to start doing in the community is take control of our children's education by formulating homeschooling groups first. Stop using the public system. Shut that bitch down for the mistreatment and the miseducation of the youth. That's the biggest deal right now besides the workforce. Right? So I walked off my job because the shit was foul. It wasn't right. And they had us under those contracts, and I ain't with the bullshit. Right? So when I seen the fix was in, I was out. But a lot of people scared to walk away from their jobs, but it's okay because the economy gonna collapse so bad you ain't gonna have no job to go to. The Pope calling in the money is watch that shit. Watch what the stock market is doing as they funneling money back to the Vatican in real time. Every day, trillions or billions of dollars a day is going back to the Vatican. Right?
Remember you?
Yeah, I remember you too. I was watching the live. I really liked tonight's live, Y'all are such like genuine people. Oh, last time we talked, I reached out to, like someone to talk to, like a therapist, and
Mm-hmm.
she helped out a lot, you know, because I kind of deal with a little bit of depression. So, but it's okay. She helped me have good like communication and stuff. And tonight's live was really good to like think about, you know, culture and autonomy and self accountability, you know. And so it really brought out a lot with the live because well, one thing I learned is that I need to, you know, not research too much. I mean, it's a good thing to be book smarts and street smarts and stuff, and to learn stuff and educational wise, but I'm actually starting to not research too much where it gets away with life stuff, you know, like, you know, feeding myself and and socializing. Yeah.
Well, you gotta remember, you don't have to be obsessed with studying, but you can always take a book. So if you're waiting somewhere, you can read a couple pages, right? The book ain't stopping you from going where you're going, and it's giving you something to do to not waste time waiting in vain,
Yeah.
right? So you can take your studies on the go with you.
Yeah. Because I realize I think I'm like a scholar, you know? I have an itch to read about just weird things that be so cool. And then I find out myself because I want to see it, you know? And then I be watching it be just simple things like mushrooms, you know? And I like to learn about, you know, property and land because one day I do want to own land. I want to have like, not a farm, but I do want to have like a big lot for myself. And I want to just, you know, tend to the land and maybe even see a weird looking mushroom, you know? And I just be watching them grow and stuff. But yeah, with the accountability and learning about our culture and stuff, that's like a big deal. And what we did in the you know, past, we're kind of doing it right now. And a lot of people don't realize it, that we are actually a very autonomic people, you know, original people, very
Mm-hmm.
autonomous, built ourselves up without, you know, a lot of help. And one thing is that a lot of people took that from us, you know, and it's not fair, you know, and we're gonna take it back. It's really cool that we're learning that, to fend for ourselves, you know, and doing it ourselves. And I think that's what we're learning for ourselves too. So
Well, you got to remember this. The better you build yourself, the more useful you are to the most amount of people.
yeah.
You can do more good by building yourself first than if you deplete yourself before you finish building yourself.
That's
It's
pretty.
a it's a process. Many of us try to help other people before we get built up sufficiently strong enough to carry that load, and it end up breaking us, either financially, mentally, emotionally. But once we get the self, I call this constructive selfishness. If you can take care of yourself and make yourself valuable to your community, where you can be an asset everywhere you go, or your other option is to overburden yourself before you're ready and crumble. It would be better to build yourself up on your own terms so that you can do the most amount of good. Because if you allow it to break you down, then you're no good to yourself or nobody else.
Yeah.
So you got to be good to yourself for yourself first before you can be of any use of good to anyone else. That's why I tell women, take at least an hour a day to get you some me time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you want to read a book, take a bath, or smoke a blunt, sit in the motherfucking shade, drink a beer, you got to get that chance to unwind so that you can be strong enough to face the next day.
Yeah. So I learned that a lot about myself, taking care of myself, and it helped me because what I want to do, I want to well, one, I want to own property. That's one. And then two, I want to be someone that research biological sexualities. Something's like a sexual like a what's a geneticist, but they some form of something, I don't know. I'm going to do more research on it, but I want to research biological sexualities, and they're there. It's just we don't.
That's a field of psychology,
Yeah.
and it has an extensive amount of research material that falls under that banner,
Yeah.
right? And
That's
yeah, I read quite a bit of
yeah.
psychological childhood sexual development, and some of the books and experiments they did to get the information is absolutely repulsive.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be in the field, you have to be exposed to the horrible nature of being in that field. What the children went through to get the information to write about their sexuality was pure and unadulterated exploitation of a child. But the child was used in science as a sacrifice. And that's what make the research into that field of study so traumatic for me personally.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why they teach children about sex, but I want to focus on the biological reproductions of adults, and not just adults. I'm talking about animals, insects, plants, and chemicals, and oxygen. You know, they're all types of reproductive systems that just doesn't have a penis or a vagina. You know, and talking about your entire system. Like, for example, your hair, you know, your eyes, your organs, that all plays a part in your reproductive system, and that is called your sexuality, of biological sexuality. And most people focus on just only the penis and the vagina area and the baby coming out. One plants the seed, one comes out, and the baby coming out. That's not the only process. That's the final results. That's the ending process. That's not the case when it comes to your organs, you know? So I just really like, I'm really into that stuff. And a lot of people can't really explain biological sexualities to different species because they don't have the finances, or people die in the jungle or something. I actually ask people, like, why don't they actually give us our proper identification? And they're just like, oh, the military and all that stuff, that costs money, and you know, people die early, you know, people don't live long. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was crazy, but that's what I want to do. But first, I'm focusing on myself, though. I'm trying to, you know, heal myself, you know, to, you know, get out of, you know, depression and stuff, you know, because I'm dealing with that. But because I researched too much, mainly on that topic.
Do you know that one of the most unknown causes of depression is malnutrition?
Yes, the food that I be eating. I'm a little skeptical about everything that I eat. Sometimes I don't feed myself, and I'm in malnutrition. I did tell my therapist I need to talk to a nutritionist, and she said you should, because you're very, you know, detail orientated and picky on what you eat. And I am, you know, and sometimes I give up and I binge and I choose processed foods because I hate that, you know, I'm angry. It's angry. I try to pick stuff that's crunchy, you know, and it's processed. And I get so angry and I'm mad, and I get and I binge. And that's what I do sometimes. Like,
So this is the exercise you should start to practice. When you start feeling that way,
okay.
you use self-talk.
Oh.
Why do I feel this way? What's the root cause? Instead of giving in to the drive created by feeling a certain way, by turning it into a learning of self-experience, you take away all of the toxic behaviors that feeling certain ways can cause. And the more toxic behaviors you purge from the self, the more functional you are in communication with others.
Yeah. Because, yeah, sometimes I don't know how to communicate correctly. I had speech therapy some months ago, and that really did help me communicate my thesis on biological sexualities. That did help me communicate correctly with people. Because a lot of people thought I was talking about, gay people. And I was like, no, I'm specifically focusing on the biological. And they're like, but there's only one biological sexuality, and it's heterosexual. And I was like, that's actually not true. Heterosexuality explains to you the final demonstration. It's not telling you the process of your organs and how the whole procreation even
Well,
happened.
you got to look at what you're looking at is only one part of what's taking place in the biology of the species anyway. When you're talking about sexuality, you're talking about a very specific part of functionality. When you're talking about biological, you're talking about it in relation to the body. So the sexuality in relation to the body is different than the psychological expression of the sexuality. The physiological expression of the sexuality, what you do with your body to show your sexual feelings to the world. This is the same way that different species of animals have mating rituals that make them adorn themselves with stuff that's foreign to the bird or whatever the species is in order to allure a mate. Some species allure a mate by building a home. Others lure a mate by stealing a home, right? All of these different things we see in nature, we can see it all play out with people. Because even though we think that we so smart and intelligent, we still have a natural function as a species that we don't deviate from. But when you talk biological sexuality, you're talking about one specific thing. But when you give the description, you're describing multiple things under the heading of a thing that all of them don't apply.
I think you just touched something. I need to look into that more because maybe I'm just not putting the right words correctly, but I am saying something that's about to happen. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying I see the future. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. And when you do what you're supposed to do, I guess you get gifts, to
Mhm.
put it in big terms. But I am talking about something that is soon to happen. Identification. That's a big deal for some reason. I don't know why that keeps popping up in my brain cells, but identification, for some reason, that's something big. And I keep saying biological sexualities, but I like talking about that stuff. It's a good part to help me research because I want to be a scholar. So
Well, when I was studying sexuality, I even studied the single cell organisms mating rituals. So I know what you're talking about. It also led me into studying different pornographic ideologies, like studying the Kama Sutra, India, studying the geisha, Japan, studying the hustler history of the magazine, Playboy magazine, and the Empire Hugh Hefner about. All of this was me studying sexuality among the human species because everything we do we think is unique to the human species, but it's all played out by other species of animals under different pretexts throughout the whole of nature, right? So we dress nature up in all kind of fancy shit and say it's something different than nature, right? We try to make nature be what we want it to be instead of recognizing it for what it is. And then understanding that the human is one of the few animal species that can deviate from the laws of nature by application of the will. So the fascination with the study of sexuality in all its forms is a natural curiosity for most people, even if they try to conceal it.
yeah. it does help me push on to researching other stuff about the world. And it's really just mainly about, bugs and mushrooms, especially. I don't know what it is, but mushrooms remind me of fish, like octopuses and squids. But they look so cool. But, oh, let me tell you something. My birthday was on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, happy belated birthday,
Yeah.
sweetie.
I turned 25.
Go on with your bad self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went out with friends, my party friends, where we just walk around and see the lights. But they're more the fun people. But I don't push them on where I'm like book smarts and studying and stuff. They're not the people for that. They're more like, let's go out, see the lights, let's walk around.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really.
That's how you protect your inner child.
Yeah.
Because your inner child is your natural innocence, and yours is very prominent.
Yeah. I take care of
the people in the comments, they love you. They send you so much love, and they recognize in your youthful energy.
Yeah.
Right. Some of them even think you a fairy.
Okay. I take care of 2-year-olds, so that pretty much I've been like this before I got the job. Like, I took the classes and everything, and they were like, how did you finish your classes? But you didn't have to pay for it. You could have just, got hired and took the classes for free. And I was like, no, I just got it all done and over with before. So they immediately made me the lead teacher, and I took care of the babies like I did, I'm like, they're so cute, like 2-year-olds, like all of them, like either if they're like Spanish or Asian. I even learned different cultures and different, biology, genetics parts. I just learned a lot. You would think this child is like Chinese, but they're actually Hispanic, so they just look different, they just, it's really cool to be around babies.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you a secret. A lot of Mexicans have a lot of Chinese in their blood.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, I thought the child was this parent's, and the teachers are like, just make sure you just remember the parents' faces, But like, other than that, like, they're very smart. You would think.
They think I'm talking about one thing and I'm talking about a whole nother subject, but my people know exactly what I'm talking about. And you got these clowns talking about poofy hair, right? Go wash your vagina, you stinking ass man. Walking around, your uterus fell out. Think you a man. You's a bitch ass nigga. On my shit. You still one of them motherfuckers that think a nationality overrides a sovereign right. Stupid ass. Right? Look, all of these motherfuckers knew I was coming. They just didn't know that I would look like this. They all knew I was coming, but they didn't know I'd look like this. A regular old motherfucker. I look like the uncle that you seen last week, or the cousin that's coming over for dinner tonight, or your sister homeboy. It don't matter. They didn't expect this shit. They didn't expect that I would pull a motherfucking scab off they sore on their ass so I can continue to spank them some more. I ain't got no retreat, no back down in this motherfucking shit. Just then look at the audacity of the ones in charge
They send the most uninformed, lowest ranking minion they can find to crash out. They not gonna send, cause the ones who know, like, man, I'm not finna go over there and humiliate myself trying to fuck with that nigga. That nigga he know what he talking about. But they catch one of them fools. They catch one who don't know, and he think he know cause he arrogant. What he think is knowledge is pure arrogance, right? It's ego-driven bullshit. And then he gonna try to tell somebody something as if the people that's been watching Rod Hayes for the last 2 years, haven't seen more receipts. The only motherfucker that dropped more receipts that's referenceable than me is Malachi York. He the only motherfucker got more receipts than me. And then I'm not sure he got more receipts than me because I got receipts that I haven't seen him with. But I can tell you what, we know who we be. DMX, Chief Zolo, Notorious B.I.G., Chief Sitting Bull. You don't even know who these people is when they come back in this lifetime because you stuck on the history books and they whitewash history to mislead you about who they was in the last one. ODB, Chief Crazy Horse. I could do this shit all day. I could sit here and just run down who chiefs that y'all have seen and didn't even know. Califia Queen. Y'all know her as Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Califia Queen. Y'all called her Aaliyah. And she exposed y'all who the fraud was in her land when she did Queen of the Dam and pointed out Kim Kardashian, but you wasn't paying attention because you think you know some shit, but you don't know nothing about the tribes. You see, I look South African. What's going on, right? And they so hurt. Some of the elders been telling them what's going on, and they so hurt. The only reason why we here is because the Dirty Moors wanted to replace the natives that was already here, so they went into an amnesia war. Who can wake themselves up first? Look, if I was a prophet, would you watch me rise or talk about me bad, be government spies, despise me for relentless pursuit of the truth, send suicide bombers to execute me in the booth? You can kill the man, but can't kill the source. Man, if I was a prophet, you couldn't alter my course. That's if I was a prophet. I'm just saying. Welcome to the end times prophecies, motherfucker. Where you see these motherfuckers manifesting what was written in your books just for the explicit purpose of telling you how to get free. And all you want to do is stay trapped in your bondage and keep as many people trapped with you that follow that false narrative bullshit that these secret societies has pushed out as information. Look, 99% of the world's population was illiterate before 1900. Do the math. Who was doing the writing? If 99% of the world's population was illiterate before 1900, who was doing all the writing? The 1%, the secret societies, the guilds, the brotherhoods, right? And who was running the governments back then? If 99% of the people was illiterate, who was running the government? Right? 1%, the secret societies, the guilds. Y'all motherfuckers kill me with this shit. Look, all of the historical texts through the universities had to be approved by one of the secret societies or it wouldn't be accessible to the public. All of the texts that came to us through university had to be approved by a secret society to reach the people. Who was it that decided to put slave narratives written by educated slaves in a book? Think about that shit for a minute. In the time of so-called slavery in these slave narratives, when 99% of the world's population was illiterate, right? Who was writing this fucking perfect English, perfect French, perfect whatever Arabic? Who was writing this shit if only the 1% was readers and writers? Oh yeah, I'm gonna say this shit. Look, these motherfuckers don't be knowing that I really do know what I'm talking about, and they want to assume that I don't. What's gonna be the shocker is when all of the people that you thought was the power wielders come ass kissing. They don't gotta kiss my ass because they can't get shit from me. Everything gotta come through Big Mama. All of these motherfuckers y'all think heavy hitters. I don't care if they celebrities, if they motherfucking businessmen, if they politicians. They gonna all come ass kissing if they ain't executed to Big Mama. And that includes your chief. If you think that if you think you outdoor and native, right? If you think you outdoor and native, when this is all of this shit said and done, whoever you claim your chief is, watch who that motherfucker go give his honors to. Big Mama. Why you think we playing? And y'all thinking this shit is a game, or this is some shit that some nigga just came out of nowhere talking about we was already here and we didn't come from overseas and all this shit. Wait until this shit come out into the mainstream. Right now, we still underground. Why we still underground? It's not that we hadn't, because we doing everything according to the ancestral mandates by the book that they gave us called the Book of Life. This called the redemption process, and we redeeming all of the righteous. And all you motherfucking $1.25 Indians on these motherfuckers who claim that we don't know what we talking about, when it's all said and done, y'all motherfuckers gonna have to come to us to be authorized to walk this goddamn land. Otherwise, you're gonna get treated like the enemy, rounded up with the enemy, and disposed of like the enemy. Right? This motherfucker on here talking about some CIA knowing he a whole agent. He know he a whole agent. He ain't even $5 Indian. He $1.25 Indian. All of the requests, when I open it up, they don't even show. Yeah. Look, I don't know who this nigga is, call himself indigenous outside, or outside and indigenous, or naked and free, or whatever the fuck his name is. But when it come time to scout motherfuckers, I'm going to get that nigga scout. Personally. It's a couple of these motherfuckers who scalps I'm personally coming to get. And I'm coming with 1,000 GDs, 1,000 Crips, 1,000 Bloods, 1,000 Vice Lords, 1,000 Cholos, 1,000 motherfucking MS-13, 1,000 Hells Angels. I'm getting 1,000 just for my personal preference from every motherfucker that's supposed to be here. They all gonna give me 1,000 motherfuckers, and I'm coming to get all you niggas scalps. I'm not just taking off the top of your head. This time I'm snatching your face off so we can see it. And I ain't killing you. I ain't gonna kill you. I'm gonna let you walk around faceless, like you want to be on social media talking that bullshit. Don't believe that it ain't a motherfucker right now because I said that. There's somewhere close to you watching every motherfucking move you make from this point forward. Because motherfucker, when I say, where is that motherfucker was talking that shit? If I don't come to your motherfucking door to get you, they gonna bring you to mine. And then we gonna have this discussion. Are you interfering with the redemption process of the righteous tribes that's rightfully on the land by the right blood and by right? So all of this righteous shit gonna knock your ass back to the left. Remember that when I told you that. See, somebody gotta bump these niggas straight. It's just that right now, my chief say, Rod, we brain banging. Remember, we ain't gang banging. But that don't mean that it ain't gonna be some of these motherfuckers that we ain't gonna have to go out. I'm skinning niggas' backs. And then I'm packing them with salt and lighter fluid, and I'm striking the goddamn match. And if they live, they live. I'm like Drago and Rocky. If he dies, he dies. But you're gonna get this work. You're gonna get this work one way or another. You can get it through education, or you can get it through motherfucking demonstration. If I was you, I would take the educational work, because the demonstrational work that's where I'm good. I'm not good at this shit. I'm not good at this tongue wrestling shit. I'm good at knocking you motherfuckers out. That's what I'm good at. And
Okay, I can't show myself because I just can't finally get to you, Rod Hayes. I got so many questions. First of all, just want to let you know, love you, love the work you do. I'm not a big studier, so I don't know all the stuff that you talk about in depth, but it definitely resonates with my spirit. And I'm one of Larry's girls. I'm from your tribe here in Chicago.
girl,
Yes, I am.
okay, well,
So
let's see if we can answer some of your questions.
Okay, so one of my biggest questions was about this whole tribal thing, about the land. How do we reclaim our land?
We in the process right now. The only hold up right now is we don't have enough of the tribes aware.
Okay.
When we get to the point where it's enough of the tribes that's aware of who they are and that they have elders that's actively restoring our birthright, then you'll see it play out physically. But in the meantime, we have to educate in public as many as possible to get enough of us aware. Because all of us know what we call Larry, Chief, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What the Stones call Angel Bay, Chief, right?
Yes.
This is an accident?
No, not at all.
You don't know who we calling Chief?
It's like, isn't that something? I had no idea when I was calling him Chief what I was calling him Chief for a long time ago. A long time ago. I had no idea what was going on. No idea when we was out there, doing that little thing.
You know where to go.
I know now. So with that, even though we're in this structural system, it seems like it got a really tight grip on the people in their minds. So does that have anything to do? We have to do this politically once we release once the Chiefs get released.
When they finally get relieved, Larry, he has to give a speech, because he had to report to. He don't got to report to like me. He got to report to the people, to the clans. When he
do you know how far-fetched it sounds, brother? It sounds so far-fetched, but this is what's got to happen.
This is the culture. Larry is the chairman, right?
Absolutely.
The chairman of what?
Of the organization.
That's just our organization. He's the chairman of the All Is One organization.
The All Is One.
Remember 74, the new creed?
Yes. The blueprint, the master blueprint.
Okay, remember the treaty signed in Pontiac, Illinois?
I'm not quite familiar with that.
It ain't hard to find. Look it up online. It was a peace treaty, and it was the LSD United Front, Lord Stones and Disciples.
United in Peace organization.
No. It's Lord Stones and Disciples back then.
Okay.
Had came together in order to clean up the streets, restore the tribal structure, restore the tribal dignity back to the people. Well, what happened is we got usurped by some people that look like us, pretending to be us.
Yes.
But it wasn't us.
I know. I know that.
As the chairman of the board, the final report would be the equivalent of the president giving the State of the State address. Larry's responsibility entails him, when it's over with, he have to give a State of the Tribes address. He have to show you So that's his job. And then the conjure side, which falls under the domain of the priests,
Wow.
that has to be explained by Malachi York.
Wow.
As a Yamasi chief, he have to explain the conjure wars and the sorcery because that's his specialty in his field. Not religious, but spiritual practice.
Okay.
He is the highest priest on the planet right now. He holds the Melchizedek seat. And he holds the seat of the Alkupt, and he holds the Zoser seat of priests. So when it's all the same seat, it's just different name for different culture.
Okay.
And over here, it's the Tahuti seat is the priest. Tahuti, right. So the Tahuti is the Trismegistus, or the thrice great king, statesman, right? And family man, but they say king, statesman, and magician.
So we've been tricked.
Yeah. This was all a big game that was played for us we had a responsibility. Go back to when Bill Cosby went on Oprah Winfrey about a controversial statement he made. And you'll see at the beginning of the controversial statement, he say, we are not upholding our end of our agreement in this thing. What are you talking about?
I don't know. We don't know nothing about an agreement.
He's talking about the 200 years George Washington challenge to educate ourselves out of the condition. And this is why Martin couldn't go to war. That's why Garvey couldn't go to war.
Okay.
They was privy to enough information to know that whatever we do, if we fight these people and start massive bloodshed, it resets.
So what we saying in essence is spiritually, all our cheese was put in place for this to take place.
Yeah.
But these powers that were manipulated so bad and they scattered us so much and they tore everything apart so we could not redeem ourselves earlier than we needed to.
Right. Because Noble Drew Ali knew what was going on when he got the information from the more Zionist Jews, but he couldn't do nothing about it. Because the blood of the righteous shall not be spilled in vain. And so that makes sense. They was using the blood conjurers and that's what was keeping us trapped, because the human becomes an angel repellent when he's under stress.
The human becomes an angel repellent.
Yep.
When it's under stress. Yep.
Your adrenaline response. Look, your adrenaline response puts off a pheromone. You can't consciously smell it, but those who we call the angels, which is actually our higher consciousness self. Okay. When you in that state, they can't help you until you calm yourself. They call that finding your center.
Okay.
Once you find your center, then one of the elders that's in your bloodline will incarnate in you as a walking being, but it's really just your higher self overtaking your ego self. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote about it in The Souls of Black Folks in the chapter called The Warring Soul.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get that and read that. That makes perfect sense. That's the reason why now we're changing our vibrations. Yeah. Many of us are going higher. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Well, you got to remember, they had to keep us, because of who we are, in a perpetual state of stress.
Yes. That's what we at. That's what most of our people at, in a perpetual state of stress, anger, violent. Everything that's like just distress.
Now look.
Yes, that makes sense.
The root to stress, right? Other things you mentioned, danger makes you become violent as a response. That's because you're under stress.
Okay.
Right?
That makes so much sense.
Look, fear will also make you resort to violence because you are under stress.
Okay, fear is what keeps us in a state of competition where we don't go higher and really go after the real culprits. We'd rather go after each other.
Yeah, That's what they call it. It's the barnyard syndrome. You can,
The barnyard
yeah.
syndrome.
It's the dog that can whip all the dogs in the yard,
Mm-hmm.
but he can't beat no dog outside his barnyard.
Oh, dang. Where that come from? What can I, get that
That's
knowledge?
that's
That's
southern
something you just
that's southern lingo.
okay.
It's
Okay.
just talking to the people in the South. See, our roots come from the South.
Okay. My people from the South, I never heard of it, but it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. It makes perfect
So
sense.
we become have all this bravado with each other because we're using each other to try to train ourselves to overcome the obstacle when we leave the farm.
Mm.
Some of us can beat everybody on the farm, but can't beat nobody when he leaves. Right? So
Now,
we see this play out in chicken fighting and dog fighting that we used to do years ago, right? And
yes.
you got a dog. If you bring a dog on his property and they the same size, he's not gonna lose. But that same motherfucker, you take him off his land, he can't win a fight, right? That's why you have in sports home field advantage.
Okay, that makes sense about the guys on the block.
Like you have a team that might go undefeated at home, and then they might have a 50-50 road record.
Wow, you dropping knowledge. This psychological warfare. Dang.
Yeah, it's sociology used to influence the psychology.
Brother.
It's the technical tools to control a slave system. You have to know how people move socially, which is sociology, in order to override the individual's psychology.
Okay.
Right? So they give us alternative outlets to our stress that we have no control over. We can't control the football game. We can't control the boxing match. We can't control whatever we see on that idiot box. We don't have any control over it. But because the guy that they told us was the hero won, then we get to say, oh, shit, I was close call. No, it wasn't. In no time was the hero of the movie ever in danger. Because they can't make a sequel if they kill him off.
Absolutely not.
So
how do we get higher, Rod?
Well, start off, you gotta start grounding your energy. Trees in the earth is the most stable stabilizers of energy we know of. Start lean your back against the tree, take your shoes off, sit there and read a book. You grounding your balance, you're bringing balance back to the self with the grounding process, and now you're opening up the knowledge reservoir by actively using it while you ground it out. It gives you a stronger grasp of everything you experiencing, and you are experiencing in real time what you read.
Oh wow, that makes perfect sense.
Right. This is the purpose of reading. People think reading is for knowledge. It's not. It's weightlifting for the brain.
Well, I can listen to you all day, Rod.
And then it's also showing you, if you see it from that way, this guy that wrote this book see it from this way. Now you have a comparative analysis from how you originally seen it versus how somebody else seen it. And the more different perspectives you can get looking at the problem, the more different ways you get to look at the problem. And the solution is always in the problem. Get rid of the enemy without, and the enemy within can do you no harm. In other words, extract the solution from the problem, and the problem is not even there to be a concern about.
Okay. Unbothered, being unbothered.
Unbothered is a motherfucker. I call it the fucking key, right? I tell them I'm going through the storms of life, singing and dancing in the motherfucking rain.
Okay.
Right?
My God.
Right.
Nice.
So Heru in the Flesh said you got to get into the God mind. Let me give you a little idea of what I'm talking about. In a Christian doctrine, they say, let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. Well, how in the fuck do you do that?
Right.
You use the faculty of imagination, and you use the art and science of self-talk. You ask yourself to show yourself, if God was looking at this problem, what would he see?
This is good stuff, y'all. I'll share this, Joy.
Look, so if you can't lie to you.
Absolutely
Because you're
not.
gonna know you lying, right?
And you know, I'm one of Larry's girls, so you know we can't lie. I can't lie to myself because I know what's better. I know the truth.
Right, but even if you tried to lie to yourself, you're gonna know you lying.
Absolutely.
Which is gonna automatically expose the lie. So when you use self-talk and you send your higher self to go look at something from God's perspective, your higher self can't come back and say this is what it looked like if it don't look like that, because you gonna know he lying. Because it's you. You see, we supposed to knew this when we was 4 years old, but didn't nobody tell us.
Wow. You can't lie to yourself.
You can't lie to yourself. You gonna know you lying.
Absolutely. And righteous endeavors.
Any and all righteous endeavors.
Absolutely. This is some good stuff, Rod. This is some good stuff. I finally got you. Oh my goodness. And I got a couple of lessons.
The BOS to the SOS. Each one teach one.
We not SOS no more. Wait a minute, Brian. Let me tell you. We juggling, not struggling. Okay? We not struggling no more. We juggling.
Hey, look. We flipping codes and cracking motherfucking doors.
Right. The struggle is over. We juggling this thing. We not struggling. So let's not lie to ourselves.
Yeah. Remember, if you try to lie to yourself, if you try to lie to yourself, then this is why I don't have a lot of respect for them people that come over here and try to get their opinions about what I'm talking about. Because they know in their heart of hearts, they lying to their goddamn self before they wrote that shit on my page. They knew they was lying to themselves when they wrote that shit on my page.
Just drop the bar. Just drop the bar. That is a bar. They lying to themselves. They lying to themselves. Hey, we can't lie to ourselves no more. It's over with.
All you got to first, look, the old saying is first to thine own self.
Be true. Right.
Why did it tell you that? Because sociologically, the social juggernaut will convince you to disregard your own psychology in order to convince you successfully lying to yourself, and all the time you still know you lying.
Oh my God, Rod, you got to put that on paper.
That's them going along. That's them going along to get along ass niggas.
Ooh, wait, man, that's truth right there. That is absolute truth.
If you ask a Cobra Stone over there, if you ask a Cobra Stone who they chief, they gonna say Mickey Caldwell. He ain't even here no more in the flesh.
Whoa.
But his spirit walking with Angel Bay.
Okay, the spirit walking with Angel Bay.
So they still can see him.
Okay.
So they can't lie to themselves as if Mickey Caldwell never existed. They still acknowledge him. No guy that you couldn't walk up to and have a conversation with when he was in the street. Anybody out there in the West, red or blue, no, they could walk up to Tukey and have a whole conversation with him. You probably wasn't gonna get too close if you was wearing red, but if you caught him somewhere by himself, he talked to you. He's never been a straight asshole, right? He was just a hard knock because he have to wake up the two biggest West Coast clans. You see what Garvey had all these people focusing their attention on the West Coast. We got to wake them up. Them the soldiers we need. We need them motherfucking 40-ounce drinking, weightlifting in the driveway ass motherfuckers to come up out that driveway and not fight each other. We don't know how to do that yet, right? In the 60s and the 70s, because they just waking up. They still got crust in their eyes doing this shit. Like, what the hit him? And they just swinging wild. I call it the invisible man syndrome. We all sitting in the room, invisible man walking around slapping everybody. Everybody hitting the motherfucker next to him. Now we all
all fighting here, the Invisible Man laughing his way out the door. We ain't never seen him in there because he looked just like us, but we couldn't tell. But now that we know that strategy, that's the key to identifying the enemy. If you don't know what he's using against you, you can't defend yourself against it.
And Rod, speaking about that, like you just always call them like the dirty Moors, and you was like you had said like they can really be anybody. I was wondering like, can these be people like in your family? Because I feel like
it's a book by Malachi York called "Are There Black Devils?" It's another one he got called "We See You Too, Black Devil," right? Then he have another one about the demon seed. It got a picture of a white baby and a black baby on it, or a red baby and a white baby, or something like that on the cover of it. But when you read that book, he tell you these motherfuckers is born in our families. We done married to these motherfuckers. Some of us sleeping with the enemy and don't even know it. And we all thinking because they look like us, they not the enemy. And our ancestors left us messages. And they said, if you get rid of the enemy within, the enemy without cannot harm you. Why in the fuck did they tell us that? There's an internal enemy. The only way I can find him is if I have to go internal to self, make sure I ain't my own enemy first. That means I got to go purge my ego. Right? Once I do that, now I'm starting saying, hey, wait, this motherfucking ego tripping ass motherfucker ain't one of us. Where he come from? Right? I got a friend, when I first met him, I was asking this who's on the yard in the prison. I'm like, who is this nigga? Where he come from? He ain't one of us. And they was like, what you talking about? I said, that nigga not from America. I don't know where that nigga from. He not from fucking America. And they laughing, they cracking up, laughing. So one of the dudes sitting at the table, go get him. Come here, Fuddy. He come over. I said, man, you ain't from America, is you? He said, I grew up here, but we from Sierra Leone. I said, I told you motherfuckers, he ain't one of us. I know a motherfucker ain't us when I see him. And they're like, how you know? I said, I don't know. I just can tell. He different. He's fundamentally different than us. I met people from Kenya, from Nigeria, from Algeria, from Morocco, Tunis, Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, South Africa, from the Congo. Ain't never had one of them say, yeah, our ancestors sent y'all over here. I never heard that one time from none of them. They all tell me the same thing. What make you think you from Africa? Nigga, you from over here. Now, the idiots that come over here, they follow the narrative they give them in the immigration class that we came over on slave ships. But their ancestors over there does not corroborate that bullshit. This is why it's so important when Garvey said create the confraternity, the global brotherhood of the original clans, right? Now Nipsey come along from Eritrea. Everybody from Crenshaw, no, Nipsey not one of us. He from somewhere else. They don't know where he from, but they know he ain't from over here. But they know he ain't the enemy too. How the fuck y'all know this nigga ain't the enemy when y'all know he ain't from over here? He don't move like the enemy. He instead of going to war with a motherfucker with a different color on, he tell you, hey brother, straighten up the little act, man. We ain't gotta be out here beefing. Who does that in the middle of gangbanging? He was always different. I didn't realize until recently, after his extraction that he was reincarnated Haile Selassie. So now my thing is, hold on, I was suspect of Haile Selassie. Malachi wrote a book called Is Haile Selassie the Christ? And he give his bloodline. And he say, see, he is not a Jew. He is not a descendant of the Jews. Right? So he's telling us in the book, the bloodline of Selassie is an organic earth being that's not from the tribes that we fighting, but he fighting the same fucking enemy. Right? So once we studied Haile Selassie, it took us back to what Garvey said, African root science, the science of non-ether, the ether utopia of the Eastern Ethiopia, the Western Ethiopia, which is today modern day Saharan Desert Africa, right? Sub-Saharan Africa was called Zululand or Swaziland. The Zulu literally mean the people that walk from the sky, skywalkers, right? And so they was the dominant tribe of those lands, and they job, the Watusi, the Zulu, the Dinka, the Mandingo, all these tribes are supposed to be there to protect the little people from the bullying of the shit that was about to go down. So the little people are the San, the Twa, the Pygmy, and some subsets of Bantu, right? So the language began to be broke up over there. The root language is what they call the Niger-Condorfian stock, the linguistics. So when you study the linguistics, it's telling you how the tribes is divided up by language. Then when you study genetics, you see how the tribes is protectorates of other tribes. So you got some tribes, they're supposed to be what we call farmer tribes, right? And they supposed to feed the warrior tribes. The warrior tribes are supposed to protect the farmer tribes. So this is probably how you reach the balance. When they come over, the first thing they do is they catch us farming, they kill us. And then they put a pink motherfucker in the field and he dropped dead in 2 days. So now they can't kill us. They can't use the pink people because the pink people can't handle the conditions of our land because they're not from here. It's the same problem they ran into in Africa. They end up, King Leopold sent Cecil Rhodes to settle the Congo. And they slaughtered 30 million Congolese people when they went. They deforested the same way they did over here. And then they turned around and hired motherfuckers over there to do it. Right? And nobody was none the wiser to what was going on because the clans had fell into what you call disarray. The leadership was took out first. They always have to take the leaders out first. Get rid of the leaders. Now you got a whole bunch of misleaders trying to fight for a position of power. And if you offer them a strategic advantage over somebody they fighting, you become their ally, which become the detriment to both sides because these motherfuckers is not just trying to conquer them. They trying to conquer your ass too. Now, they did the same thing to us. They had motherfucking Apaches fighting Tomahawk and Choctaw and Cherokee. They had us fighting each other over here. For a long time, we didn't know what was going on.